That Cast, Episode 7, recorded on September 4th, 2017.
That guy. I found out that if my murdering company doesn't work out, I could have a thriving career as a fashion model.
Oh, do tell.
There's this dude who I should probably have pulled up the article instead of just pulling up my notes, because I feel like the guy deserves a name. Anyways, I'll tell you the story while I'm looking up his name. The guy was arrested for stealing a vehicle and resisting arrest, and he had a couple other misdemeanors. He got his mugshot back and decided to upload it to the internet, and people just went like crazy over it because of how handsome this guy is, and also because he has two different colored eyes.
I knew a kid who had two different colored, a blue and a brown eye, back when I was in grade school.
That's actually what this guy has. Maybe you know him. His name is McKee Alante Lucky.
I certainly do not know him.
He got noticed by...
Senpai?
You wish. I guess you could call it Senpai. St. Clair's Modeling. So he now professionally models for this company because of his mugshot. There was a lot of actually decent articles, but I saw that and I'm like, that's relatable to the podcast because, you know, if I ever get caught for murder, maybe I have to hang up the company coat and I can go to the runway.
There you go. You got your life planned out for you, you know?
And here comes Joe. He's a little bit overweight and not that attractive, but he did threaten to kill us if we didn't put him on the spot. So,
but dang, does he look good in that trench coat?
Oh, he's pulling out a time. Oh no, he's holding everybody up. Dang, we should have saw this coming.
I wondered why he had the trench coat and the fedora. Pulls out Tommy gun.
Yeah. Or better yet, just death comes to you evildoers, and I am its shroud.
No, I like meh better.
Yeah. So that cast.
It's been about a month since we actually recorded a That Cast, and by the time That Cast goes up, it'll probably have been half a month since the last one was posted. I don't know. Summer has just been a mess because it's actually been busy, even though I don't do very much. August, you know, everybody knows August is the month that doesn't actually have any holidays in it, but my birthday's in it, and I had a whole bunch of other stuff in it as well. My birthday was probably one of the least important things of August. I am one of those people who do not treat my birthday like a big deal at all, because I don't care. It's another day of the year. I don't even know if we went somewhere special. I think my mom was like, hey, do you want to go out for dinner or something specifically? And I'm like, I don't care.
I use it as an excuse to get free food from my family and also to force my friends to hang out with me.
There you go. That's a good thing.
Because I just go, hey, it's my birthday. Let's hang out and play some games. And usually that makes my friends who are like, you know, Joe, I work on the weekend and I sit around and play video games and drink beer the rest of the day. Wonder who I'm referencing. We won't use any names here. But, you know, that it kind of forces everybody to come be like, oh, okay, we could hang out today, Joe.
You'll be like, oh, hey, guys, you want to come hang out? It's my birthday this weekend. And then everyone's like, but wasn't your birthday, like, last year? And they're like, yeah, it happens every year, guys.
I wasn't sure if you were going to do that or do the other side where, like, did you say your birthday was last week?
No. Then you're just like, yeah, it happens every year, and everybody just simultaneously like, okay.
Also, that guy, unlike you, my birthday is in November, and in America, November, we have good old Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And once every, who knows how many years, you'd think it's 7, but it's definitely not 7.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
My birthday lands on good old Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. My sister's birthday is in May, and it sometimes lands on Mother's Day as well.
Yep.
So I understand what you mean by that. Like, because Mother's Day is specifically on a Sunday, and because Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday, those days shift around, even though your birth date is a specific date, like a numbered date, not a day of the week.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you think, like, you know, every year your birthday is would be on a different day of the week for 7 years, and then it'd cycle. But, you know, I distinctly remember my birthday being on Thanksgiving when I was 7. The only reason I remember that is just because of the huge family party my parents threw for me at my grandparents' house. Like, that was a really fun party in my memory.
Like, you thought that it was a huge party for you, but actually it was just Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's a big feast just for me.
Like, yeah, Joe, it sure is. You're like, oh boy.
Oh boy, I hate turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes. What's all this crap? Where's the cake?
I want pizza. I can picture that happening, man.
But this year my birthday does land on Thanksgiving, so that'll be fun. So what are we talking about first, that guy? Games like usual, or do we want to mix it up and go somewhere else?
Well, we kind of started off just randomly talking about whatever, and I really only have one game to talk about, because I've just got a lot of real-life stuff to talk about.
What? Real life? We don't talk about that on the podcast, unless if it's about holes and socks, sir.
Well...
And I can tell you that right now, my socks do... Oh, what do you look at that? Never mind.
I'll tell you one thing real quick. Most of my socks have had holes in the bottoms, like near the toes. The sock that I'm wearing right now has a hole near, like, the ankle, or, like, the back of the ankle, whatever the tendon is that's above your heel. I don't know why it's got a hole there.
Pets, but you... Oh, yeah, you have pets.
Well, yeah.
They're just not as prevalent as my pets are.
I guess.
Like, I don't come over to your house and call your dog Loaf of something.
Well, my dog is a little bit too large to be considered a loaf of something. She's like 50 pounds.
I mean, my dog is a literal loaf. Insert picture of Thor's face photoshopped on a loaf of bread.
He is a loaf of bread. That's the size. He's not going to get any bigger. He's a loaf of bread.
He gets rounder, though.
He gets
rounder. From like a loaf of bread to like one of those holiday breads that you get.
Oh, okay. There's a nicer term for it, but like garbage bread.
Yeah.
I don't remember the real term of it.
How he eats sometimes.
No, you know my dog. She's like 7 or 8 years old now. She's getting real finicky. She's turning into a real old lady. She like won't eat immediately. Like, you know, dogs love eating immediately as soon as you put it down. Now you'll like put the food in her bowl and she'll just like stare at you for a second. And you'll be like, are you going to eat? And she'll be like, oh yeah, there's food.
Oh yeah, I am dog.
I don't know. It's just kind of jarring a bit.
Between our last podcast and this one, a game called Agents of Mayhem came out, and it is, I don't want to say the sequel to the last Saints Row game. It takes place in an alternate universe where the Third Street Saints never existed. The game I played before that, I want to mention, is called Get Out of Hell, which is one of those games that's more like a DLC. You know what I'm talking about, that guy?
Mm-hmm. So, like a lot of people think that Borderlands the pre-sequel is.
Yeah. But the pre-sequel is like, what, 30 hours or so, you'd say?
Yeah, well, what, is Get Out of Hell not that long?
No, Get Out of Hell is like one of those games where it's like 10 hours max. I guess if you tried to do every possible thing, you could get more time out of it. But like one of the achievements in the game is to play it for 20 hours, and I've gotten like 16, and that's from like leaving my console on overnight. It's just one of those games where there's no real story missions. It's more of like all the side diversions from other Saints Row games. It's really fun. I really like it. But I played that because at the end of it, basically as Johnny, you play as Johnny Gat and you kill Satan. Well, you don't kill him. You beat the crap out of him. God comes to Johnny, who's voiced by Nathan Fillion, by the way. And he goes, hey, I owe you, man. And one of the options is to have God restore the world, but retcon the entire Saints Row universe. Oh yeah, in Saints Row 4, the Earth got destroyed, in case if you didn't know that. The events of Get Out of Hell created Agents of Mayhem, which I absolutely love the crap out of that. I haven't done all the teeny tiny collectible thing, but I did all the side quests, all the story quests, leveled up almost all of the heroes. Think of it almost like Overwatch, but just a story mode. You get to choose 3 heroes. Each one has just a primary attack, a secondary attack, and then an ultimate that charges up.
Okay.
And as long as they're not dead, you can swap freely between the 3 of them, and you go through and just fight waves of robotic enemies while having humorous dialogue and snappy one-liners and the such. I still want to play it some more, but a couple other games caught my attention in between all that. Injustice 2 had an announcement of the next 3 characters coming out.
More Captain Cold?
You wish. You are going to love this. It's not Captain Cold related, but it's still kind of like in the category of what? The first character they announced was Manta Man, who is Aquaman's arch enemy.
Of course.
So take already the butt of all superhero jokes and then just throw in his arch enemy that no one's heard of.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. Arch enemy implies that he's like, should be known. Like, Batman's arch enemy is the Joker, and Superman's arch enemy is Lex Luthor.
I thought Batman's arch enemy was Superman.
No. They're on the same team, dang it. I don't care how many movies they're gonna make and, stuff that they're gonna talk about. It's like, oh no, one hates the other one. It's like, no. Take it from the, how it should have ended, guys.
Yeah.
I understand that Aquaman is the butt of all superhero jokes, but I feel like I would have heard of Manta Man before.
Yeah, Manta Man is his arch enemy.
Are you sure he's not just made up?
I'm pretty sure.
Specifically for this game.
Well,
I mean, that's how Waluigi was made. Okay? The Waluigi, they needed a counter for Luigi in Mario Tennis, and Waluigi was created.
You know what? Take a moment and just go to Google, type in Manta Man. I just want you to take a look at him.
Manta Man, okay. Images.
Oh, wait. Oh, Black Manta. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I just call him Manta Man because he's just as useless.
Okay, so it's Black Manta. He does look pretty cool. I'll give him that.
But, again, think about this. That guy, you've never heard of this guy before.
No, not at all. I mean, but he's got the black and red down. He's like Edgelord Master.
Yeah, Black Manta is already technically in Injustice 2. In one of the transitions for the Atlantis stage, he actually is just like floating there casually with a trident, and when the hero that got hit into the transition goes flying by him, he just smacks him with his trident.
Yeah.
He's the first character. The character looks cool, and maybe he'll play well. The next character they announced, and this one has gotten so much negative, like I've seen at least on the YouTube comments section, is Raiden from Mortal Kombat. He's the guy who's got like the stereotypical straw bamboo Chinese hat, the round ones.
Yeah.
And he shoots out electricity. From what I've seen, everyone is so upset that they chose this character. We bought a DC game. We want DC characters. We already have a Mortal Kombat character. We have Sub-Zero, and he's good enough. He's a cool character. I won't... Pun not intended. But he's a cool character. Raiden, nobody wants freaking Raiden. If you're going to give us an electric character, there's freaking plenty of electric-based characters in the DC universe we could get. They could give us Shazam. I mean, I know he's dead technically in that universe, but he's still an electric-based character. They could give us Static Shock. The target demographic for this game were the ones who grew up with Static Shock and love him. And then the third character, ironically, isn't a DC character either, but people are super excited about is Hellboy.
Hellboy?
Are you not familiar with Hellboy?
I am not.
You might want to give him a Google.
Oh, okay.
He's the son of Satan. He escaped from hell at like a super young age and was raised by a Catholic man.
I have seen this character before. I don't know where.
He's got a couple of live action movies.
You know what?
Maybe you've seen it like in the stores or like on TV.
I think perhaps he was one of the villains at the Villains Anonymous meeting in Wreck-It Ralph. I could be wrong.
Oh, there is a Satan character. I don't know if it's him, though, because he's not a villain. He's a superhero.
Oh, okay. He looks very similar, then.
Obviously, that's kind of the thing, is he looks like a demon, and he is one. But that's what he does, is he works for an agency, and they send him out to deal with, like, threats from hell and stuff. And he's really badass, and people are pretty stoked about him, because he's just a cool character. We do know, out of the last 3 characters that will be announced, the Atom is going to be one of them. And the only reason we know that is because they released all the silhouettes of the future characters on the select screen. And everybody on those screens is a head, except for the one where it's literally a full-size body. So everyone knows it's the Atom. So we don't know who the other 2 are. People are hoping they're going to bring Beast Boy in, which I think would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I just been playing a crap ton of XCOM.
I can vouch for that. I've seen you playing it. I ended up playing a little bit of it as well, but I didn't quite get sucked back into it like I thought I might.
I played through the whole game. Don't have the new DLC in case if anybody's wondering about that. It's a heavily modded game, and I played on the easiest difficulty, but I had a lot of fun. I basically recreated Project H as best as I could. First, I had to get all the suits, the special suits from the Viper King, the Berserker Queen, and the Archon Prince.
Whatever those are called, the alien rulers.
Yeah, that's what they are.
I think they have a cooler name, but either way.
When you kill them and you do an autopsy, you get like a suit from them, which gives your characters like extra powers. So the Viper one gives increased agility and dodging. The Rage suit lets you do like a smash attack, and the Archon suit lets you fly, much like the jetpack did in the first XCOM game.
Cool.
Well, not the first one, but at Enemy Unknown and Within.
Yeah.
I recreated our team. Captain Incredible Man is a Grenadier with the Rage suit.
Uh-huh.
Alpha, I gave her the Viper suit, and I just took off the headpiece because it's like a giant snake head, but you take that off and it looks really badass. Ludacris is the one with the shotgun. Ranger. I was going to say Ranger, and then I'm like, no, that's not what it is. That is what it is.
That's okay. With XCOM 2, they changed the names of them. I always still call them Specialist or Support. Yep. The same thing, and then Assault and Ranger and stuff like that. And Grenadier and Heavy, and Sniper and Sharpshooter. I mix them together all the time.
Invisibro is a sniper, but I gave him the hunting pistol, whatever that is, because it has the Shadowfall ability.
Yep.
And I modded it so the Shadowfall was not a once per game thing. It would go on a cooldown. Eagle's a specialist with the Archon suit, and Snow Queen is also a Grenadier. She has frost bombs, and I also have a modded Arctic rounds. Basically, this guy or girl, whoever modded it, created a unique round, which was before they introduced the frost bombs. So basically it reduces movement by like 5 or something. And we went through and just stomped the aliens into submission. I had a mod that increased my squad size up to 8. I only needed 7, of course. Oh, Time King. I didn't even mention him. He was a PSYOP, obviously.
Yeah, all right, cool.
We just stomped the aliens out. It was like, man, it's easy when we just have to focus on like one aspect of these guys instead of having to focus on, zombies and ninjas and all that other crap.
No Znacks here.
Yeah, just aliens. Have you done the final mission in XCOM 2?
I have not actually beaten XCOM 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, the farthest I ever got was to fighting the Archon Prince, and then he killed 2 of my supports. Those were both of my medics. I edited those videos, I never put them up, and then that Let's Play just died, like many Let's Plays on my channel do.
The last mission, that guy...
Don't worry about spoiling anything, I don't care. Go ahead, tell me anything.
Okay, good. I was going to spoil it anyways without your permission.
Yep.
Have you faced an avatar yet?
Describe what they are, I probably have.
They're like people in suits with like the really weird standy up hair, and they have like a face mask on.
Oh, no, I have not then.
They act a lot like Psy Rangers, but they teleport every time you hit them.
Okay.
So you kill one of those, and then the XCOM crew reverse engineer it and create a new one, and on the last mission, you use this portal you find to go to the alien base and stop them. The commander gets in like a suit and controls the avatar they created. So, the commander is the avatar, so you're kind of playing as yourself in the game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Technically, because I was already a character in the game, I just imagined the commander as Commander Campbell. So
Wait, you're telling me you didn't have a Bruce Campbell character either?
No, basically I had a group of soldiers that I just kind of burned through until I got to the stuff I needed. I wanted to make it as authentic to my stories as possible and just deleted everybody else. It was just those 7. If somebody got hurt, they either didn't go on the mission or we waited till they were healed up to go onto the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the easy difficulty, if you let the avatar project bar at the top run out, it goes into like a countdown. You have like a month in-game time to set them back or you lose the game.
Right.
And I went to that like 4 or 5 times because I had to I was like, well, I'm not going into a fight with just Ludacris, Invisibro, and Eagle. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. I've got one game to talk about. It is the monster of a game, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Ooh, a game I've wanted to play and my computer can't handle it.
It's pretty fun. I'm not too great at it. I enjoy the first-person mode better than the third-person mode, so you can't cheese around corners and stuff. I'm really terrible at solos. I'm not too bad at duos and squads, because then you have a teammate in case you go down and you can flank and use crossfire. I really enjoy that game, and it has recently become one of the most played and popular games on Steam, surpassing CSGO recently, which is phenomenal. I don't think it's past Dota yet. I think Dota's
No.
still the top game on Steam. Hey, future that guy here. It's actually blown Dota completely out of the water by now.
I'd be surprised if any game passed Dota, to be honest.
But man, PUBG is blowing up, and it's super huge. And it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I've got lots of fun hours. Let's see, I've got 21 hours in it already. And what I've done is when I made my character, I chose the saddest looking face that I could. Like the tired, saddest old man face that I could. And I just gave him like gray hair. And then later on, I realized that there was a white jacket and a light blue shirt and brown pants. So I play as Rick Sanchez now.
Yay.
In PUBG. A lot of my friends will play, and I'll be invited to the squad, and it's pretty fun. I've won 1 duos, and I've won 1 squad. The most kills I've gotten in a round has been 5, and most of the time I get like 1 guy and then die. But it doesn't mean it's not fun. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a new map soon as well, because it's still just the same map.
Have they announced one, or?
I don't know if they've officially announced it, because I haven't really followed anything official with PUBG, but it would not surprise me at all if they have a new map within the next month, because they just had an actual professional tournament, first-person duos, and I forget what convention it was at, but whatever convention was recent. And it had a bunch of teams that, well, companies of teams that I recognize from when I used to watch Pro Counter-Strike. There were players that I remembered as well. I know I said I only had one thing on games, but another thing popped into my head right there. There's a guy who I follow on YouTube who does engineer TF2 stuff, like specifically. His name is Uncle Dane, and he went to the I-61, which is a TF2 convention, and he tweeted out something in kind of like a code, but it was all lowercase except for certain letters, which were uppercase. So it didn't take a genius to figure out what he was doing. And the code word that
What
spelled
did the
out...
lowercase words say?
The lowercase words said something about like, I don't know anything about the Pyro update or something like that, because that's the next big update that everybody's waiting for in TF2, the Pyro update to come out, because TF2's been neglected for so long now. But the capital letters spelled out 9-6, which, if you look at your calendars, is in 2 days. 2 days before recording, but about a month before the actual upload of this podcast. And also, we still have no information on the Pyro update. So this is just a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, but I'm hoping that the Pyro update will come out in 2 days.
Man, I haven't played TF2 in forever. I do really like that game, but I suck at shooters.
The amount of hours that I've put into TF2 in 2017, probably only a couple hundred. And considering I have 2,600 hours in it, that's not a lot.
Nope.
That is not. I've not given up on it, but I just don't like playing it right now. Because a lot of things are broken, and I don't like the matchmaking system, and I'm really hoping the Pyro update will fix it.
I'm officially as probably like a quarter of... No, I'm giving myself too little. As 1/3 of that cast production. As in, it's my voice, that guy's voice, and that guy's editing. So that guy really gets 2 votes. I get 1. But I don't care. I'm officially changing our movie section to be movies and TV.
Was it not always? I thought it was always movies and TV. I talked about TV stuff.
We did talk about TV, but we always called it the movies section. I'm officially calling it movies and TV now. So,
do I need to second that motion? Do we need to have a democratic vote on it? It's not that big of a deal. Let's just call it movies and TV.
No, I just felt like I should put my foot down.
All right.
Anyways, so my family was camping in Maine for an extended weekend. I got into a horrible sleeping habit where I'd probably be up till like 1 a.m, fall asleep for maybe half an hour, and then wake up and not be able to fall asleep until like 6 or 7.
Oh.
And then I'd sleep till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, wake up and repeat the cycle. And I'm just slowly crawling out of that hole now. But during that time, I ran out of things to watch on YouTube.
Okay.
Dude, I had backlogs. I watched the Yogscast live channel, which is their full, like, anywhere from an hour and a half to, like, 3.5 hour live stream footage.
Right.
And I had, like, 6 of those backed up, and I ended up watching all of those. I had nothing to watch. all of a sudden up on my phone popped up a little ad suggestion for the new Amazon Prime series, The Tick.
Right, I've heard some stuff about this.
I was like, I have Amazon Prime and I've never used the video service. You know what? Let's watch it. And I watched the entire series in one sitting. It wasn't very long. It's 6 episodes. Each episode's about 28 minutes, give or take.
Right.
And it was all right. I liked it. If you don't know what The Tick is, so The Tick's been around for quite a while in general. Just the Tick hero himself. He's this guy in a blue suit. Well, he looks like he's in a blue suit. And he's got these antennas that move around on their own. And he's indestructible, super strong, and he's a complete idiot. And he has no memory of his past life. First off, I think the series should have been called Arthur and the Tick, because it really follows more the story of his reluctant sidekick, Arthur. My biggest complaint with the series was it just wasn't that much action for a superhero show. In the first episode, I actually have it like bookmarked on my iPad, so I can go back and watch the scene, because I love the scene. There's about a 1.5-minute scene in the first episode where the Tick takes on like this warehouse full of goons. And it's so fantastic because he like is just shouting at them from a distance. He's like, "Wicked man!" It's just a funny scene because there's these goons that are just pouring bullets into him and they're not doing anything. He's just casually walking up and he like backhands a guy. It looks like he doesn't even put any effort in it, and the guy goes flying. He walks up and this guy puts his hands up. He's like, "Oh, getting clever." And then a guy comes up with a board and it just breaks on his face. He's like, "Sneaky." Just flicks him and he goes flying onto a roof. It's a great scene. I just wish there was more of that in the whole series. It just wasn't that much action. It was more of Arthur having to deal with the gang and a supervillain while also trying to deal with his, like, he has some mental disorder in the show, like schizophrenia or something like that. They didn't say it specifically, but it's something like that.
Okay.
For a superhero show, I was kind of disappointed. It ended off on a cliffhanger. Maybe if they get a second season, it'll have more action. I'm going to watch it. It was, like I said, it was like 3 hours, and it wasn't terrible.
I was trying to think if I've actually seen it.
Hold on, let me get rid of the loaf of bread.
Oh, he came back.
Yep. You see, Libby is a good dog. She's been laying in my bed in the same spot. I look over to make sure she's breathing. She just chills there. She'll get up, come closer to me, I'll pet her a bit, and then she'll go back to her spot and lay down. Thor, he, like, jumps around, bashes open my door, like, walks in. He's like, "Hi, I'm Thor," and then leaves.
You have to realize that Thor's, like, what, 10 years younger than Libby?
Yeah, I know, but Libby never did this stuff when she was that age.
You also have to realize that Libby's a bigger dog. Like, she's not a big dog. She's a medium-sized dog.
Probably till the day he dies, Thor will probably just say, "I'm Thor." Not like Groot. It's just, that's how much he can comprehend at a time, usually.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just runs in, "Hi, I'm Thor." Yeah, that's great. Hey, Thor. Walks out, comes back in, "Hi, I'm Thor."
Like, yes. Yes, we know. My sister and brother-in-law just got 2 dogs named Bailey and Colby. And Colby is, I don't know, he's probably like, 60 or 70 pounds. He's a pretty big dog. He's some sort of hound. But he has just got the dopiest looking face. Anytime I see him, that's all I can think of. It's just like, "Hi." You know, just like the stupid dopey voice. Just like, "Hey, I know I'm not a lap dog, but I'm going to try to sit in your lap and you're going to pet me, right?" And I'm just like, "Yes, Colby. I'll sit on the ground next to you," and he, like, you know, goes up, snuggles up right next to you and wants to, you know, get pet and everything.
Yep.
He's such a dope.
My most favorite moment with Thor was Libby goes up to my mom and she starts rubbing up against my mom and doing, like, the affectionate thing, and I'm just like, "Hi, Mom, I love you." And then Thor comes running up and, like, jumps in my mom's arms and starts
"Hi,
licking
Mom,
her
I'm
face.
Thor."
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I did. And it was just so perfect because it was just, that's one of those moments where you just see it and you're like, that is 100% what just happened. I don't care what you say.
I have nothing TV and movie-wise to say, to be honest.
Oh, okay, that was great TV and movie stuff, that guy.
I've got a little bit of music stuff to talk about. Nothing super in-depth. It's just my jam and the repeated song that I've been hearing. I got a Bon Jovi CD before my trip down to BronyCon in Baltimore, and ironically, I did not actually listen to Bon Jovi on the way down, but I remembered that I had the CD, and I've been listening to it a whole lot, just driving around town and stuff. So the song that's been my jam is Bon Jovi's "Who Says You Can't Go Home" from like 2006 or so. Specifically, I prefer the version that is just Bon Jovi, but there's also a version that he did as a duet with the Sugarland singer Jennifer Nettles, I think her name is.
Yes, the more popular version.
Yeah, it is a more popular version. I just don't like it as much. I don't know. I just like Bon Jovi's voice, so having him sing the whole thing instead of half the thing, I don't know, I like it better.
Yep.
And the song that has been on repeat on the radio, like all the time, every time I turn on the radio, there's a song. It doesn't annoy me, but I just think it's very peculiar that this is the song. It's a song from The Lovin' Spoonful, which is, I think, a 60s or maybe 70s band as well. And people would know them for the "Do You Believe in Magic" song, because that was their one-hit wonder. But the song that's been playing all the time that I keep hearing is actually "Summer in the City."
Hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirt and gritty. Bend down, isn't it a pity? Doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city. All around, people looking half dead, walking on the sidewalk harder than a match here.
I don't know why, but the radio station just keeps playing that. It's a good song. It's catchy. That's what I've just noticed.
Like, as I said, it's been a month, so my repertoire is built up quite extensively.
Those are some pretty big words there, man. Are you okay?
Yeah, I have a thesaurus right here, so...
Ah, yes.
I think I broke my brain saying those words, actually.
That's why I was slightly concerned.
I realized the other day while listening to my music on my iPod that I really like the Weird Al polka songs. The ones that are...
Polka medleys?
Yeah, polka medleys. He does the chorus line of a bunch of popular songs at the time to polka music.
Yeah.
So I went on YouTube, made a playlist of all the ones I didn't have, and I listened to them. And I ended up making a whole CD of it and putting it in my car. But my favorite one out of all of them, I found out, is Angry White Boy Polka.
Uh-huh.
He does usually have a couple of darker songs or like heavier songs in all of them. This one's just so many of them. He's got a couple of songs that are talking about like death and stuff, but he's singing it to the happy polka tune.
Yeah, with the tuba and the accordion.
Yeah. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give up. If I cut my arm bleeding, I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die, 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 die.
I absolutely love it. Another song I listened to that I liked, I haven't listened to this recently. This was like the song that was my go-to for a bit, was Tobuscus released a parody of The Sound of Silence.
Okay.
Called Sound of Silence. And he's talking about how there is no sound in silence.
That was my mind blowing.
Yeah. It's, you know, like the opening line is, "Hello people who can hear, you're the target demo here."
Get wrecked, Simon and Garfunkel.
He sings about how if somebody's telling you that there's sound in silence, they're just messing with you. And it's a good song.
That sounds great.
It's pretty funny. Finally, my real jam, I know it's a good song when I purposely go out and pay the $1 on iTunes to buy it instead of illegally downloading it. Oops. I didn't just say that out loud, did I? The How It Should Have Ended crew did a parody of the song Come a Little Bit Closer by Jay and the Americans. Yondu, during a scene, is walking around on a ship, and he's like having his arrow fly around and kill everybody. And this is the song that's like blasting in the background. How It Should Have Ended didn't want to use the actual song and get a copyright claim and not make money off their video, so they made a parody of it for the video's sake. And then everybody is like, "Oh my god, this is incredible, can you make a full version?" And so they did.
And please tell me that Daniel Baxter's the one who sang it. Like the guy who does all the voices. You'd know if it was him. He's the one in all of the voices for How It Should Have Ended. He's the one who plays Superman and Batman and all of the other main characters. There's a list of people in this world.
Yeah,
okay.
It's him.
There's a list of people in this world who, if I ever, for some reason, had an animated something that I needed to get voice actors for, he would be a go-to because I love his voice.
Yes.
I don't know why. I just think it's great.
Watch out, here comes my arrow. It flies super fast. Here comes my arrow, Legolas sucks, and Yondu is the one.
So as we
Yes.
mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, August doesn't have any holidays, but you end up doing a lot of important stuff, or at least busy stuff, in August. That's definitely the case for me. I do have something that you're going to be able to talk about with me afterwards when we went to meet Bruce Campbell, as we mentioned last podcast, and I'm sure
Whoa,
we've
wait.
got stuff to talk about there.
Wait, I went to go meet Bruce Campbell?
Yeah, and you've got it recorded, so don't worry about if you forgot it and you just got starstruck.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But we'll talk about that later, because
Okay.
chronologically, earlier in the month, I drove down to Baltimore for BronyCon. Somebody asked me in one of the con meetings, which was a live stream on YouTube, in the chat, if anyone was going from New York down to Baltimore and if they would be willing to carpool. So I ended up carpooling with this musician guy called Indie Notes, who his name is Aaron, and his girlfriend Winter. And he does acoustic guitar stuff, and he writes his own songs, and it's pretty cool. So I had a great time with them, and I wasn't alone on my 8-hour trip. On the trip down, nobody likes New Jersey. It's just a fact. Even New Jersey people don't like New Jersey. But I especially don't like it because, A, you don't get to pump your own gas there, so I avoided getting gas in New Jersey. And B, on the very southern tip of New Jersey, we hit a traffic jam. And oh my god, was it terrible.
Oh, God.
The traffic jam split out into 8 lanes that were going through toll booths. So we were all stopped in these 8 lanes of toll booths. Then we had to condense down into 2 lanes and then further into 1 lane to get by this tractor trailer that decided to flip over sideways. So
Damn you, physics!
exactly. I don't know why the tractor trailer flipped sideways. It didn't look like it wasn't going around a curve. It looked like a 1-car accident. The front of it was a little teeny bit scrunched. I don't know why it flipped, but it cost me an extra hour on the trip down there. And Aaron and Winter were like an hour and so late for their first shift because they were supposed to be there. They were part of registration. I was part of events. I ran audio and if there were any visuals, presentations for one of the panel halls. But they were in registration, and they were supposed to be there on Thursday afternoon to help with pre-registration, but we didn't get there in time because of that. Bright side, though, I had my Weird Al CDs, and we played Weird Al's Traffic Jam from I believe it's from the Alapalooza 90s album. So that was great. Also on the drive down, I was listening to one of the Eagles CDs that I have that has a live recording of Hotel California, and Aaron and I sang Hotel California, and he sang the tenor part and I sang the baritone part because my voice doesn't go that high, and it was so much fun.
Now, I do have a thing about Hotel California, and that is, I'm pretty sure every single radio that plays that song is always the live version. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong song, but I'm almost positive that's the song I'm thinking of.
I don't think so. Not the radio versions that I've heard anyways.
I could have sworn it was that. I'm sorry if it's the wrong one. It's just there's a song out there that they always play the live version on the radio.
There are quite a few. There's like Elton John's Benny and the Jets is one of them. Always live version. And then I can't remember, I think it might be Styx, I Want You to Want Me. That's always a live version.
That's the one I'm thinking of. I apologize for getting that mixed up with the Eagles.
Idiot. It's not Styx, it's Cheap Trick. Stupid past, SOENJAY. And I feel like I've told you this before, but maybe I told somebody else. In that live version, nearing the end, there is a tiny bit of microphone feedback, and it ticks me off every single time.
The joys of going to audio school.
I know, right?
Oh, it's so easy to fix, too.
They could totally just take that out of the recording, but no, we can't mess with the classics, man. Whatever. It would be so much better without that teeny little feedback, and it's a completely isolated part of the song, too. It's where all of the instruments stopped, and then there's that slight bit of feedback, and then the lead singer, with no background instruments, starts going into the chorus again. So it would be super easy to just edit that right out. Sorry, I'm just ranting about that now.
Okay.
My hotel. I stayed in the Days Inn. BronyCon accommodates your hotel if you are a volunteer. There were 3 other dudes in my room as well. That's par for the course. We actually did have a 5th dude altogether who wasn't technically supposed to be there, but sue me. He just slept on the floor. I slept on the floor, too. I specifically told my roommates that I'm going to sleep on the floor. You guys can fight over the beds.
Cuts to who's ever like in charge of the finances at BronyCon, and they're listening to the podcast. Do it. Sue him.
Don't sue me. My cousin's a lawyer. No, so I slept on the floor.
Don't sue me. My friend owns a murdering company.
That, too. I slept on the floor, and my head was next to the mini fridge. And unfortunately, the mini fridge leaked a little bit, so the pillow that was on the bottom, I had brought 2 pillows, and the pillow that was on the bottom was quite soggy the next morning. So that has since been degraded from a bed pillow to a butt pillow for when you're driving in the car for long distances and want to sit on something. But on the bright side, I bought a new pillow at the con, so that's cool. I met a bunch of cool people there as well. I met people from the fandom, like this guy called Dusty Cat, who's got the most amazing handlebar mustache. He is known as the manliest brony in the world. He works on motorcycles, and he lives in California and stuff. And he built a cigar box guitar and was selling it there, and it looked really cool, but it was like $750. It's a 3-string cigar box guitar with a custom front that was wood burned, and it just looks super cool. But I saw his YouTube series, about 6 or 7 episodes of him making it in his garage, so I got to see the whole process of it. So he's pretty cool. I got to meet a guy called Little Shy, so I'm sure people, if you're listening to this podcast, you have heard of Cinema Sins, and if you haven't, why are you listening to this podcast? Cinema Sins, you should have heard of them by now. But if for some reason you don't know, they riff on movies, and they point out every little, tiny little detail that is wrong with a movie. So this guy Little Shy does the same thing, but with each episode from the TV show called Cinemare Sins. It's a horse pun. So I got to meet him, and I actually have his shirt. I'm actually wearing it right now. It just happened to be the shirt that I grabbed today. It was on top of the pile. I've got his shirt with his face on it, and I turned up in his vlog on his YouTube channel, and I posted on Twitter. I was like, "Hey, who's this guy on my shirt?" So it was funny that I actually met a guy who was on my shirt. I freaked out over that a little bit. And I met 2 other people. That's all I want to talk about left. There are musicians. One I have talked about on the podcast briefly before, so I'm not going to go too much into him. Woodlore, he makes bluegrass music, and he's got an awesome voice. And then this other guy called Haymaker, who I haven't mentioned him specifically, but he's part of the group the Wasteland Wailers, who I mentioned either last podcast or the podcast before, I forget. But he's one of the main singers and guitar players for the Wasteland Wailers. And I was following him on Twitter, and I didn't know he was going to the convention, but then all of a sudden on Twitter he was just like, well, I guess I'm going to Baltimore. And I was like, wait a second, does this mean you're going to the con? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, can I potentially meet you? And he's like, yeah, okay. So being a volunteer, I was in a panel hall from about 5 p.m. till about midnight or 1 a.m., because that's half a day shift. I told him that that's where I'd be. I'd be in the Hall of the Moon from that period of time to that period of time. So don't you know, at 1 a.m. on Saturday night, this guy pops up. And I have to give massive thanks to him for actually, seeking me out. I had a nice little conversation with him, and he was just the coolest dude. I got a picture with him as well.
I told him about our podcast. He now has a restraining order against us.
No, thank God I didn't do that, no. I don't know if he wanted his picture posted anywhere, so I didn't post it on Twitter or anything like that, but he was a pretty cool dude. That's all I'm saying. He was a cool dude. And the day that the con ended on Sunday, after we packed everything up, there was a staff party, and me and a group of dudes that I was with went over to the Hilton, which is where the party was being held, and underneath the Hilton, kind of attached to it, is a Jimmy John's. It's a sub joint. And as we're walking across at 9 p.m. at night, we're going to go to Jimmy John's because some dudes wanted to get some food before we go to the party. And there is one guy sitting in Jimmy John's with his back to us. And I had previously been talking to my friends that I had met him. And they were like, oh, no way. You didn't realize that you'd actually met him. I don't believe you. As we're walking up, the one dude who's sitting with his back towards us, I'm like, that's him. That is Haymaker right there. And they're like, no, dude, you're lying. That's not him. We go in. Like I said, he's the only person in Jimmy John's. He's just getting himself some lunch or some dinner. He's just at Jimmy John's. So we sat down for 5 minutes, and all my friends were like, oh, hey, it's him.
Whoa, it's almost like even popular people are need to eat and stuff.
No, but see, that's the thing. Like, he's not even that popular. But for some reason, all of my friends were just like, I can't believe you met him. They didn't believe me for some reason. But then I was just like, yo, it's Haymaker. He's just getting a sub. So that was great. I don't know. I had a fantastic time. That was the highlight of my entire convention, was getting to meet Haymaker, this random obscure guy who sings songs.
Cool. I'm glad you had a good time, that guy.
But then after BronyCon, a few days after, you and I went on a trip of our own.
We did. I tried to block it out, but...
Why would you block it out?
Well, we did kill about 30 innocent... Oh, wait, no, we're talking about the other trip.
Keep that on the down low, man. Yeah,
Okay.
we went to Boston. Well,
yeah.
the outskirts of Boston to meet Bruce Campbell, because he had a book signing.
I mean, we could have gone to Long Island or, like, New York City, but that was, like, right next to that guy's BronyCon. So we went to Boston instead, because that just kind of gave him a couple days rest. And that guy...
Also, screw New York City.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Like, that wasn't even really, like, the only reason. It's just kind of like, just screw New York City, okay, man? I'd rather drive over to Boston.
We drove to Boston, and you may think that two dudes who are friends in a car for, like, 6 hours would probably not want to talk that much after, because they'd probably exhaust all possible aspects of conversation and be at each other's throats, which is pretty common. I understand it. But no, I came prepared. I brought Bruce Campbell's audio version of his book, Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way.
Okay, well, let me set something straight here first. You were gonna bring it, but then Jeff actually had borrowed it, so we had to stop by Jeff's house to get it before we left.
Didn't find it until like the night before.
Now, we didn't leave super early in the morning. We left at like 11 or 12, about noon, you know, because the game show was at 6 or 7 at night.
Yep.
So we didn't have to go up really early. It was about 3 hours there and 3 hours back. So we got through 3 CDs on the way there and then the other 3 CDs on the way back. And it was a pretty good book. Pretty good book.
Yeah. I do want to say it wasn't just a book, though. If I were to recommend any of Bruce Campbell's books in audio format, because that's the only way I acquire their knowledge, I would recommend this one because it's not just him reading from the pages. It is a radio drama. There are other people in it that voice characters. There's ambient background noises.
Yep, there's Foley and sound effects. It makes you seem like you're actually in the location. It helps your imagination.
That occupied pretty much our entire drive. I vlogged bits and pieces of the drive there, not back. It was too dark by the time we were going back to really vlog. I will probably eventually edit that all together, but much like that guy, I am lazy.
When we got to Boston, or the outskirts of Boston, which I cannot remember the name of the little hamlet, town, province, whatever, what am I trying to think of, county that we were in, we were looking for some dinner. We walked around, and first of all, there were 2 CVS's within eye shot of each other.
Brookline, Massachusetts. Brookline.
Brookline. That's what it is. They've got 2 CVS's on the same street within eye shot of each other, and it ticked me off. But that's not it, Brookline. I cannot forgive you for this next thing. We decided to go to dinner at a delicatessen, okay?
First off, Joe does not know what delicatessen is.
Well, you do now.
That guy must explain to Joe what is delicatessen.
I told him that a delicatessen was the long name of a deli. And he was like, what the heck? His mind was blown. He didn't understand. Yeah, so we went to a deli. It was called something delicatessen. And
I will agree with that guy. Use the word deli lightly here.
Yes. Well, let me explain to you. When I go to a deli, and whenever anybody goes to a deli, I would fully expect there to be a cooler glass counter with deli meat in it, but then there's a counter on the top. There's like an overweight guy in a white t-shirt and an apron who's just got a scowl on his face. There's one of those old fans that oscillate back and forth because there's not really any air conditioning in here, and there's tile floors and a few tables with chairs. It kind of smells like liverwurst. You go in, there's a big chalkboard full of options, and you get your sandwich. Your sandwich is like 6, 7, 8 inches tall, stacked with deli meat and all sorts of other delicious stuff. Like, the food there is absolutely delicious. That's what a deli is, okay? This was not a deli. This was a restaurant.
In fairness, I'm going to guess by the looks of the entrance, because they have a little tiny glass cooler with desserts in it when you first walk in. I would guess that this place originally was a deli.
It had a bar.
It did.
It had a bar that you could go sit at.
Yep. I'm going to guess that this place was originally a deli. I don't know.
They had their own brand of soda?
They did. And there was nothing special about it. They used regular high fructose corn syrup. They didn't put cane sugar in it.
A lot of the times, people who make their own brand of soda will put cane sugar, and that's what makes it good.
I want to just say my food was pretty good. I got a little sampler platter, and that was kind of fun, especially because half the things on the appetizer list, I didn't know what they were. There was a knish, and it said they said you could get this knish with beef or chicken. And I'm like, okay, that's great. What's a knish?
I think you ended up getting the beef one, right?
Yeah, that's what it came with by default. And then there was like a noodle canoodle, and I was like, don't know what that is.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of conglomerate noodles.
It was good. Surprisingly, everything that I got was very... There was another thing where it was like a pastry filled with like cottage cheese, I guess. And it was all sweet. Like the knish wasn't sweet, but everything else was sweet. I got a potato pancake, and it was like soaking in like... I don't think it was applesauce. I think it was like peach sauce.
It was something orange.
Yeah, and the potato pancake wasn't sweet, but because it was soaking in that stuff, it got sweet. If we were to go there again, I probably wouldn't.
I thought you were going to continue to be like, I probably wouldn't get that again, though. But no, if we were going to go there, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't go there.
I kind of almost wish we ended up at that taco place we first went in. But that taco place was expensive, dude.
Yeah.
It was like freaking like $3-something for a taco. It wasn't even like a bundle of tacos. It was like $3-something for a single taco.
That's
I was like,
pretty ridiculous.
That. And I understand, you can't all be cheap like Taco Bell. But you freaking go to like Chipotle or Moe's, and that stuff's pretty, in my mind, for the most part, is not bad quality food. You get like a taco for like $2. When you start charging $3 for a taco, that's when we're starting to like, okay, is this taco like the size of a burrito?
Yeah, if you want.
Does it come with unlimited refills? Will this taco help me meet Bruce Campbell?
Which is what we really should be talking about, to be honest. We lined up outside the Coolidge Corner Theater, which is just a small, I believe it's a movie theater. It's a one-screen movie theater, but it also has a stage. It's an old-school thing. We've got one around where we live called the Scotia Cinema. It's a small, teeny little place, one screen, and it does have a stage as well, but it was pretty nice. It was a nice old theater.
You know what? What was really cool was the people in line. And I kind of wish we didn't have to stand in line. I wish we kind of could have almost been in one big group and kind of mingled. Because I bet you we would have met some really cool people there.
I met a guy who was wearing the exact same shirt I was.
Yep.
It was the chainsaw and boomstick cross, and it said groovy. That guy was wearing his Bruce Campbell Spider-Man Psycho Stick shirt, which he got complimented on the way out of the theater.
There was a family behind us. The dad and daughter, like the interaction going on between the two of them was absolutely incredible. If that dude was listening to our podcast, GG, man, parenting done right. Not only has he introduced his young, probably like 6 or 7-year-old daughter
to the glory that is Bruce Campbell's chin.
But they were in like countless imaginary fight to the deaths with boomsticks and chainsaws, and he just murdered his daughter every single time. He just always had some way to one-up her. She's like, bam, I shot you. He's like, well, I'm wearing a Kevlar vest. Bam, I shot you.
It was quite entertaining with those two.
Then we did the game show. I didn't know that it was just a random trivia game show. I thought, well, I don't want to say random trivia. It was nerd trivia. Yeah. I thought I was expecting Bruce Campbell trivia. So I was ready. I was like, I got this, that guy. I'm going to end up on that stage. No, it was like random in Star Trek Voyager. What's the name of the ship? Hell if I know.
The way they did it, though, was pretty interesting. Everybody got a clicker in the audience, and then they asked 25 rapid-fire questions, and you had to answer A, B, C, or D. And whoever got the most correct and also the fastest amount of time. So if there were like 2 people with the same amount correct, the guy who answered faster would get the position.
Yep.
The 4 best times and best scores would go up and compete. Now, there is this one guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was like the guy who looked like he was about 30 and starting to go bald. He got 25 out of 25 questions right, which is complete BS. But he did it, and he was just absolutely rocking the show up there.
The next person, I just want to say, the next person had 24 out of 25.
Yep.
And the other 2 people tied at 23.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just
so there
figured
were a
I'd
lot
throw
of
that
people who had good things. I don't know what scores that we got, but I know that I got 5 of the answers correct just by randomly guessing the answers, so I got pretty lucky.
I knew a couple of them. Pretty much all of the random guesses I got wrong. I think one of my biggest problem is because I had no clue like if my answer is being submitted, so I mashed that button quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have very easily have messed with my score.
Potentially.
Not saying I would have gotten up there, but I'm saying if they were to show a scoreboard, I'd probably be in the negatives while that guy's like just scraping by with like a 1.
Yeah. I mashed the button a few times too, I understand. The second guy, who was like the underdog runner-up, only had about half as many points, but he was still beating the other 2.
No. If I remember correctly, he was like dead last. But then they did the rapid fire round, and he was able to catch up with the others.
Right, it was on a subject that he knew. Yeah, Bruce went over to him and was like asking him what his problem was.
He caught up, and then they eliminated one person, and then they eliminated the other person, and then it came down to the 2 of them.
And they reset the scores.
They reset the scores. The guy who was in the lead technically would have still won this, because he was like miles ahead. But the last round, you get some sort of subject, and you have to answer the questions about it. There was 3 of them, so the person who was losing got the first pick, I think. Was that right? It was something like that.
I can't remember. There were 3 categories and 2 dudes, so each person had to choose a category.
Both of them aced it.
Yeah, regardless of how whoever went first, one guy went all the way, and I think it was the balding guy who was the one who was
It was like
doing
Dave.
really good.
It was some generic name.
Dave, yeah. And then I forget the other kid's name. But he was the underdog and everybody was rooting for him. And it was so suspenseful because he had to get every question right to be continued in it. And he eventually did get every question right. So then they went on to the 3rd category where it was just a who can buzz in faster type deal.
Now I don't know if it was just Bruce Campbell's marvelous acting, but him and his like manager Steve or whoever, they seemed both pretty surprised that they actually got to the 3rd category, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, we got to see some kind of unique event going on here.
This was a very unique event. This was a head-to-head fight to the death.
Yep.
With nerd knowledge. And eventually Underdog Kid won.
And also I think the most important thing here is I got Bruce Campbell to talk directly to me by
heckling.
By being a peanut gallery. Hey, listen, there was a question up on the screen, and the question Bruce asked was something completely different, and I was like, whoa, what is this garbage? And and Bruce said something to me, and it was pretty awesome.
So important that you didn't even remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember the whole event. I barely remember the argument I got in with him when he was signing my stuff.
Well, I'll tell you about that. We got the VIP passes, so after the game show, we went across the street to Brookline Bookstore, where in the basement, Bruce Campbell was signing his book, and since we got the VIP stuff, we'd also get another piece of merch signed. Go ahead.
So first off, when we were standing in line to go into the game show, they gave us a piece of paper with our spot in the line relative to the VIP passes. And very importantly, I was 41, and that guy was 42.
So while I was the meaning of life, I was the one who got my thing signed after that guy.
So I apologize.
It's all good.
What's important to know is I had a question for Bruce that I've always wanted to ask him. And so I figured the best way to do that is to get my Jack of All Trades series box signed. Now, technically speaking, Jack of All Trades was axed after halfway through the 2nd season. Technically speaking, that means I guess everyone in the business, that means it's only 1 season. But if you watch the series, Volume 2, there's a distinct episode that's the season finale. And then at the end of the 3rd disc, because it's a 3-disc set, The last episode is just a regular episode ending. There's no finale or anything. There's always a season finale episode that makes you feel like, okay, that's
it's concluded. But since
even
it was...
even if there's a cliffhanger, it's still concluded. You have to wait.
Yeah, but since it was chopped in the middle of a season unexpectedly, that's why there's nothing there.
Yes. So I get up there and I ask Bruce if there. I want to ask him if there was anything planned for the end of season 2. Well, Bruce argued with me that there was only one season, and that's wrong.
He was
Sorry.
just diehard onto it, like there is no season 2.
And I was like, but there is. Like, there's the season finale. He's like, there's no season finale for that area. It's just for the first season. He's like, no, there's only one season, and you just said there's a... So I got into an argument with Bruce Campbell, which I think is honestly the best thing. Because even if we didn't get into the argument, if I just said hi, and he just said hi, and that was it. What kind of memory is that? I got into an argument with Bruce Campbell, and he all over me. That's the greatest thing. Like, part of me was like, man, I can't believe that's what happened. I got into an argument with my hero. But no, that just shows how human he is. He
Exactly.
Just, he doesn't take shit from anybody. He's just like, no, you're wrong.
There is no season 2. What happened is we'd go over, and there's a guy who would look at...
Steve.
Oh, okay. Was it Steve?
Yeah, Steve is like his guy who's like in charge of his timing and stuff and make sure everything works right.
So we'd be in line, and you give your stuff to Steve, and he was only signing official merchandise. If you wanted him to sign random things, you'd have to see him at the convention that he was at. I forget the name of the convention, but it was a horror convention in Boston. So he would only sign official stuff. So that guy had his Jack of all trades set. I actually had Briscoe County Junior box set. You'd hand your things to Steve. He would make sure that it was okay, and then you'd go over, and he would hand them to Bruce. Bruce would sign them, and you could hand your phone to this other girl who would take pictures, and Bruce wouldn't pose for the pictures, but you could at least have a few pictures.
I asked Steve first. I was like, is it cool if I record it? And he's like, yep.
Yeah, Steve was just like, what kind of stupid question is that? Of course.
The girl who was doing it was giving me a bit of trouble. I'm like, he said it's okay. She's like, oh, okay.
So you go over and Bruce signs your stuff and you can talk to him for 10 seconds or whatever. So that guy asks his question and then he gets into the argument. Bruce finishes signing his crap and he gives it to that guy, but they're still arguing. So as Bruce is signing my crap, he's still arguing with that guy. And I don't get to really say much to him. Not that I was going to say much anyways. I was going to say something along the lines of something super cheesy and, thanks for putting up with all your fans. We really appreciate you. It was a heartfelt comment, to be honest, and I would have liked to have told him that, but I ended up having 2 seconds to talk to him, and my mind blanked because I was preoccupied with the argument.
That guy just couldn't comprehend that I got into an argument with Bruce Campbell.
I just got so sidetracked by the argument that all I could think of was the argument, so I just blurted out something stupid like, oh man, did my friend's question stump you or something? And he's like, yeah, your friend's an idiot.
Yeah, and you know what? That's pretty awesome. I posted the event on the Bruce Campbell fan page, and for the most part, we're a pretty cool community. We all chat and we help each other out with cosplays and questions about Bruce. I posted a condensed version of the story, and everybody loved it because that's Bruce for you. We know that. I'd say about 95% of the people who commented on that about how it's more than one season agreed with me. One guy did jokingly be like, here, I fixed your issue. And he photoshopped the box, so the box is the complete series. He changed it to the complete season.
I believe you showed that to me, yes.
Yep. I just want to say that I'm sorry, Bruce, though you're never going to listen to this and probably get a restraining order if I ever meet you again. But a majority of your fan base definitely agrees with me on this, that it's more than one season.
So get wrecked.
Get wrecked, Bruce Campbell. Please don't kill me. On the Clash of the Nerds channel, you can now find that cast outtakes.
Yes.
There was a conversation we had in the last podcast that guy cut out. I really liked it, and I felt like it shouldn't have died. So I took the audio myself, edited it up a bit, and I threw it up. If anything else like that shows up in the future, you can bet they'll be there. So
it'll be in the description as well as a link to the Clash of the Nerds channel.
If you want a little extra of that cast and don't know why you would, there it is.
Yeah, little 5-minute stories and stuff.
The other thing is a shout out to Iron Age Comics, because those guys, more specifically Joe, whatever your last name is, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, bud. You are awesome. The guy is a local comic book writer / artist. I fell in love with his work. I picked it up at a convention, and I really like what he's writing. I love his stories. He's got 2 series out now. I love them both. He posted that he had the copies of Jaded 4. That's the main series he's working on right now. And I commented on the Facebook post that I need it. He sold me a copy like right then and there. And he signed it as the first copy sold. That was pretty freaking awesome, to be honest. Big shout out to them.
That's pretty cool, actually.
And I guess we're not doing Project H. Don't want to edit that much.
Honestly, we do not have time for that, unfortunately. This is gonna be the most monstrous podcast.
True. Can I give a little teaser?
Go right ahead.
Okay. The team stood anxiously around the table. This was the first time General Lee wasn't here waiting for them. Jeff considered going to the bathroom for the 3rd time. He didn't really have to go, just enough for him to consider it to kill some time. The thought was washed out when he realized that he was hungry. He should go get a sandwich from the cafe. This thought was dismissed shortly by the fact that he could be playing Space Ridge right now. Now he had to pee again. This was the cycle of Jeff's mind. The cycle was finally broken when General Lee entered the room.
That is very accurate of Jeff. The only thing that is missing is the thought of, I want to go get a beer. Other than that, I totally agree.
Beer does show up later in the story, actually.
Oh, well, then I will not be disappointed.
Yep. So, that's a little teaser for our next podcast. We have a prayer to close us out?
I actually have one, yes, of course.
Excellent.
It's actually based on I believe it's a song. Yeah, it's like a bedtime prayer, before you go to bed, or if you want to, it's like the original lullaby song was something that you'd sing to your kid or something. Now, I'm not going to sing it. It's just a rhyme. May Bruce bless you and keep you. May Bruce shine his chin upon you and bring you peace. Groovy.
Groovy.
As he watches over you as you sleep. Are you okay, man? Well, I guess it's that cast with a lowercase c now, because that guy's dead.
I'm that guy.
And I'm that guy.
Also known as Joe Thunder.
And SOENJAY.
And you've been listening to a monstrous podcast
called That Cast.
Bye.
Bye-bye.